Hello everyone, I'm Dr. William Lee. For years, I've dedicated my life to helping people protect their hearts through science, research, and real medical experience. I believed I understood almost everything about preventing heart disease until one ordinary morning completely changed my life forever. Last September, I nearly lost my own father. It wasn't because of a rare illness, a hidden genetic disorder, or a mistake made inside a hospital. It happened because of something so simple that neither of us ever considered it dangerous. Even after spending 17 years treating heart patients, performing thousands of procedures, and helping people survive life-threatening emergencies, I completely overlooked what was happening right inside my own family. I still remember that morning as if it happened a few minutes ago. It was exactly 7:22 a.m. I was drinking my usual cup of coffee while reviewing patient reports before leaving for the hospital. My phone suddenly rang. When I saw my father's name on the screen, I smiled because he rarely called that early. The moment I answered, I realized something wasn't right. "Son," he whispered, his voice shaking. "I feel very dizzy. My heart is beating so fast. Something feels terribly wrong. You need to understand who my father is. He belongs to a generation that almost never complains. He's the type of man who believes pain should be tolerated quietly. He never wanted to bother anyone, especially his own son, who worked long hours as a cardiologist. If he decided to call me that morning, it meant he was truly frightened. But I made the biggest mistake of my professional career. Instead of treating his symptoms like an emergency, I treated them like something ordinary. I calmly told him to sit down, drink a little water, breathe slowly, and give his body some time to settle. I convinced myself it was probably nothing serious. I never told him to call an ambulance. I never imagined those simple words would haunt me for the rest of my life. Only 48 minutes later, my phone rang again. This time, it was my mother. She wasn't speaking normally. She was screaming. "Your father has collapsed." She could barely breathe between her tears. She kept repeating that his lips had turned blue and she couldn't feel a heartbeat. Everything inside me froze. The ambulance reached their house within minutes, but every second felt like an entire lifetime. The paramedics fought desperately to restart his heart. They worked for 12 long minutes before they finally restored a stable heartbeat. 12 minutes. If you've never experienced waiting 12 minutes while someone you love has no heartbeat, you cannot imagine the fear. Every medical statistic I had ever studied suddenly became personal. Every research paper I had ever read now had my father's face attached to it. I wasn't thinking like a doctor anymore. I was simply a terrified son. When I arrived at the hospital, I watched another emergency team fighting to save the man who had spent his entire life protecting me. Standing there in my white coat, surrounded by doctors I worked beside every day, I felt completely powerless. None of my degrees, experience, or medical knowledge could erase what had already happened. After my father was finally stabilized, one of my closest colleagues quietly pulled me aside. She looked directly into my eyes and asked one simple question. "What exactly did your father do this morning before the symptoms began?" I didn't know. That question forced me to call my mother again. Although she was still shaking from the shock, she carefully explained every step of his normal morning routine. As she spoke, I realized something that sent chills through my entire body. Nothing unusual had happened. He had followed exactly the same routine he had repeated every single morning since retiring 8 months earlier. Every action seemed healthy. Every habit looked harmless. Yet hidden inside that routine was one dangerous mistake, quietly placing enormous stress on his aging heart day after day until one morning his body simply couldn't handle it anymore. That discovery completely changed the way I think about heart health. It also started an investigation that would consume months of my life and reveal something every adult over 60 deserves to know. After my father returned home from the hospital, I couldn't stop asking myself one question. How could something so ordinary almost end his life? That question stayed with me every single day. I wasn't satisfied with simply knowing he had survived. I wanted to understand exactly why it happened so it would never happen again. Not to him, not to my patients, and not to anyone watching this. For months, I buried myself in medical journals, cardiovascular studies, and research on the body's internal clock. I interviewed hundreds of patients who had experienced sudden heart attacks, strokes, and dangerous rhythm problems shortly after waking up. I searched for patterns that most doctors rarely discuss because we usually focus on treating emergencies instead of preventing them. What I discovered shocked even me. There are several common morning habits that seem completely harmless but can place enormous strain on the heart, especially after the age of 60. None of these habits look dangerous on their own. Most people have been doing them for years without thinking twice, but when they happen during the first hour after waking, they combine with powerful biological changes already taking place inside your body. That combination can become extremely risky. Before I explain the first habit, I want you to think honestly about your own morning routine. Don't answer what you believe is the healthiest choice. Think about what you actually do every morning. The truth matters because recognizing your own habits is the first step toward changing them. Most people have no idea that the moment they open their eyes, their cardiovascular system enters one of the most stressful periods of the entire day. Your body doesn't wake up slowly, it launches into action. Within minutes, stress hormones begin rising rapidly. Cortisol increases to help you become alert. Your nervous system shifts from deep rest into full activity. Adrenaline begins preparing your muscles and brain for movement. At the same time, your blood pressure naturally climbs, your heart beats faster, and after several hours without drinking water, your blood is already slightly thicker than it was the evening before. For younger adults, these changes are usually handled without difficulty. But aging changes everything. Blood vessels become less flexible. The heart works harder than it did decades earlier. Natural pressure sensors inside your arteries react more slowly. Even small changes that once seemed effortless now require much more work from your cardiovascular system. Imagine asking an older engine to suddenly race from idle speed to maximum power without warming it up first. That's exactly what many people unknowingly ask their hearts to do every single morning. The first dangerous habit is one that almost everyone believes is a sign of discipline and productivity. The alarm rings, your eyes open. Without thinking, you immediately throw your legs over the side of the bed and stand up. Many people believe this is the fastest way to start a successful day. In reality, for older adults, it can become one of the riskiest moments of the morning. After lying flat for 7 or 8 hours, your blood has been evenly distributed throughout your body. The instant you stand, gravity suddenly pulls a large amount of blood toward your legs. Your heart must react immediately by pumping harder to keep enough blood flowing to your brain. When we're young, specialized pressure sensors inside our arteries detect this change almost instantly. They signal the heart to speed up just enough to maintain healthy circulation. As we grow older, those same sensors respond more slowly. That brief delay can leave the brain receiving less oxygen than it needs. The result may seem small at first. A little dizziness, blurred vision, feeling unsteady, seeing dark spots. But in some people, that short interruption causes complete fainting. Thousands of older adults suffer serious falls each year because they stand too quickly after waking. Broken hips, head injuries, internal bleeding, and long hospital stays often begin with nothing more than getting out of bed too fast. The danger doesn't always stop with the fall. Once the body realizes blood pressure has dropped, it releases another wave of stress hormones to correct the problem. The heart suddenly speeds up, blood pressure rises sharply, and an already stressed cardiovascular system is forced to work even harder. In vulnerable hearts, this rapid change can trigger dangerous rhythm disturbances or even a cardiac emergency. Fortunately, preventing this is remarkably simple. When your alarm sounds tomorrow morning, don't rush. Stay lying down for about 30 seconds. Take several slow, deep breaths. Allow your heart to wake gradually instead of forcing it into action. Then sit on the edge of the bed for another minute. Move your feet gently, rotate your ankles, give your circulation time to adjust before standing. Those extra moments may seem insignificant, but sometimes the smallest changes create the greatest protection. The second hidden danger begins before most people even leave their bedroom. Think about your own routine. What is the very first thing you reach for after opening your eyes? For many people, it's their phone. Others walk straight to the bathroom. Some head directly toward the coffee machine. Almost nobody thinks about the one thing their body actually needs first: water. During 7 or 8 hours of sleep, your body never stops losing fluid. Every breath carries tiny amounts of moisture out of your lungs. Your skin continues releasing water throughout the night, even while you're resting. By the time morning arrives, your body has already entered a mild state of dehydration. It may not sound serious, you probably don't even feel thirsty, but inside your body, something important has already changed. Your blood has become slightly thicker. Your heart now has to work harder to push that blood through thousands of blood vessels. At the exact same time, your blood pressure is naturally climbing, stress hormones are increasing, and your circulation is adjusting to a brand new day. For an aging heart, this creates unnecessary pressure. Research has shown that heart attacks and strokes happen far more often during the morning than at any other time of day. While many factors contribute to this pattern, dehydration plays a much larger role than most people realize. Fortunately, the solution is incredibly simple. Before checking your phone, before making coffee, before doing anything else, drink a large glass of room temperature water. Around 300 to 400 milliliters is enough for most people. Within minutes, your body begins replacing lost fluids, your blood becomes easier to circulate, your heart works more efficiently, and your cardiovascular system receives exactly what it needs before facing the demands of the day. It sounds almost too easy, but many life-saving habits are surprisingly simple. Now let's talk about another habit that millions of people believe is completely harmless. Coffee. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not telling you to stop drinking coffee forever. I enjoy coffee myself. The problem isn't always the coffee. The problem is the timing. Many people wake up and drink a strong cup of coffee before they've eaten anything or even taken a sip of water. That combination can place significant stress on an older cardiovascular system. Caffeine is a powerful stimulant. It increases alertness by activating your nervous system, but it also raises your heart rate and can temporarily increase blood pressure. When your body is already flooded with natural stress hormones from waking up, adding concentrated caffeine immediately afterward is like pressing the accelerator while the engine is still warming up. For younger, healthy hearts, this extra demand is usually manageable, but older hearts don't always respond the same way. Blood vessels may already be less flexible. Hidden heart disease may already exist without causing obvious symptoms. Even people who feel completely healthy sometimes have narrowing inside their coronary arteries without realizing it. When caffeine enters the bloodstream quickly on an empty stomach, its effects become stronger and faster. The heart beats harder. Blood vessels tighten. Blood pressure rises. For someone already living with silent cardiovascular disease, that sudden increase in workload may become the final trigger for a serious event. That's why I always recommend making one small adjustment instead of giving up coffee entirely. Hydrate first. Eat something light, even a banana. A piece of whole grain toast or a handful of nuts helps slow caffeine absorption and reduces the sudden stress placed on your heart. Then enjoy your coffee, not before. Simple changes like these don't remove all cardiovascular risk, but they reduce unnecessary strain during the most sensitive part of the day. The goal isn't to eliminate everything you enjoy. The goal is to give your heart the safest possible start every single morning. As I continued reviewing hundreds of patient stories, I noticed something fascinating. Many survivors described nearly identical routines. They rushed out of bed, skipped water, drank coffee immediately, and then moved directly into another habit that seemed incredibly healthy. Yet for many older adults, it carried risks almost nobody talks about. That discovery led me to the third major mistake, one that surprises nearly everyone the first time they hear it. The next mistake surprises almost everyone because it sounds like one of the healthiest habits you can possibly have. Morning exercise. Let me be very clear before I continue. Regular exercise is one of the greatest gifts you can give your heart. It lowers blood pressure, improves circulation, strengthens the cardiovascular system, and helps you live longer. The problem isn't exercise itself. The problem is exercising too intensely immediately after waking up. Many people over 60 wake up, put on their workout clothes, and head straight outside for a fast walk, a run, heavy weightlifting, or an intense fitness class without giving their bodies time to adjust. At first glance, this seems like the perfect routine. In reality, your heart may already be working harder than you realize. During the first hour of the morning, your blood pressure is naturally rising, stress hormones are still elevated, your blood vessels are adjusting after hours of rest, and if you haven't eaten or hydrated properly, your body is already under extra strain. Adding intense physical activity during this period forces your heart to work even harder. For healthy younger adults, this extra demand is usually manageable. For older adults with hidden heart disease, high blood pressure, or reduced circulation, it can become dangerous. That doesn't mean you should stop exercising. It simply means you should exercise smarter. Give your body time to wake up first. Drink water. Eat something light if recommended by your healthcare provider. Begin with gentle stretching or slow walking before increasing intensity. Allow your heart to warm up gradually instead of demanding maximum effort within minutes of opening your eyes. But even after discovering this, I still hadn't found the answer that explained what nearly killed my father. Then my mother mentioned one final detail. Every morning after waking up, he immediately stepped into an ice-cold shower. He believed it was making him healthier. He had watched videos praising cold exposure for boosting energy, improving mood, reducing inflammation, and increasing longevity. He honestly believed he was protecting his health. Instead, he was placing enormous stress on his heart. When freezing water suddenly hits the body, thousands of tiny blood vessels tighten almost instantly. Blood pressure rises rapidly as the heart is forced to pump against greater resistance. For a young athlete, the body often adapts without difficulty. For an older adult with aging arteries or hidden cardiovascular disease, that sudden shock may become far more dangerous. In my father's case, it became the final trigger. His heart rhythm became unstable. Moments later, he collapsed. Thankfully, skilled paramedics arrived quickly enough to save his life. Not everyone receives that second chance. Watching him recover changed me forever. It reminded me that good intentions don't always lead to safe decisions. Sometimes the habits we believe are improving our health are simply being performed at the wrong time or in the wrong way. Today, my father's mornings look completely different. He wakes up slowly. He spends a few quiet moments breathing deeply before getting out of bed. He drinks a full glass of water. He sits for a minute before standing. He stretches gently instead of rushing into activity. His breakfast comes before his coffee. If he exercises, he waits until his body is fully awake. And cold showers are no longer part of his routine. These simple changes take only a few extra minutes, yet they help reduce unnecessary stress on his heart every single morning. If there's one message I hope you remember after watching this, it's this. Growing older doesn't mean living in fear. It means understanding that your body deserves a little more patience and a little more care than it did 20 or 30 years ago. Small habits repeated every day often have a greater impact than dramatic changes performed once in a while. Tomorrow morning, don't rush. Give your heart a gentle start. Drink water before anything else. Stand up slowly. Move with intention. Treat your body with the respect it has earned after carrying you through every single day of your life. And if someone you love is over 60, please share these ideas with them. A simple conversation today could prevent a tragedy tomorrow. My father was fortunate. He survived. Many others never get that opportunity. I still think about that phone call every morning. It reminds me that prevention is always more powerful than treatment. Take care of your heart before it asks for help, because the healthiest future is often built from the smallest decisions you make at the beginning of each new day. Thank you for spending these moments with me. Stay safe, take care of yourself, and I'll see you again very soon with more practical ways to protect your health and enjoy a longer, stronger, and more active life.